The sun hung low in the sky, casting elongated shadows across the dusty ground of Minimum Security Paddock 12. I stood on the perimeter, gripping the electrified fence wire, my heart pounding in my chest. SCP-042, the enigmatic creature housed within, lay immobile in the corner of the paddock. The white coat, marred by brown spots, was barely visible against the barren landscape, a stark contrast to its once majestic form. "Why do you do this?" I muttered under my breath, my voice barely rising above the gentle rustle of the wind. SCP-042's large, expressive eyes met mine, their depths echoing a silent plea. It was a sight that haunted my dreams, a creature that seemed to possess an understanding far beyond its appearance. The researchers insisted it was just an animal, but I had seen the way it looked at me, the way it seemed to yearn for something more than mere survival. Every time it attempted to lay down, I felt a pang of guilt. "You're not just a specimen," I whispered, my fingers brushing against the wire, as if seeking a connection. "You're something more." A sudden commotion behind me jolted me from my thoughts. I turned to see two guards arguing fervently, their faces flushed with anger. "We have to do something. It can't just lie there and suffer," one of them shouted, his voice laced with urgency. The other shook his head defiantly. "Protocol states we keep our distance. We can't risk it. Remember what happened last time." Last time. The memory hung heavy in the air. A day when SCP-042 had broken free, resulting in chaos and bloodshed. 2 guards had lost their lives, and a researcher had descended into madness, forever lost after a single touch from the creature. As I faced SCP-042 again, a soft whinny pulled my attention. Its wounds, open and ragged, had become a symbol of its suffering, and I felt the weight of my own helplessness. I had volunteered for this job, thinking I could help, but it seemed I only bore witness to its pain. The electrified wire buzzed softly, a reminder of the restrictions that kept us apart. But I didn't want to be just a spectator. "I can help you," I murmured, stepping closer to the fence. The creature lifted its head, its gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. In that moment, I saw intelligence, desperation, and an unfathomable sadness. Suddenly, the guards' argument escalated, their voices rising in a heated exchange. I felt a surge of defiance. "Let me in," I shouted, surprising even myself. "Let me see if I can get it to eat. It needs more than just nutrients." Before I could second-guess myself, I unlatched the gate. The guards shouted warnings, but I was already stepping into the paddock, driven by an overwhelming urge to connect. SCP-042 stood as I approached, and I could feel the tension in the air. "Please, just let me help you," I said, feeling foolish yet determined. I crouched down, extending my hand slowly, feeling the warmth radiate from its body in a moment that felt both surreal and heavy with significance. SCP-042 lowered its head, touching its muzzle to my palm. A shock coursed through me, a jolt of raw emotion that surged from the creature into my very being. I felt alive, euphoric, as if I had been granted a glimpse into a world beyond comprehension. But just as quickly as it had begun, the connection broke. The guards, panicking, had started to close in, and SCP-042 reared back, its eyes wide with fear. In that instant, I realized the truth. The creature wasn't just suffering. It was aware of its own fate, aware of the consequences of its existence. The guards fired tranquilizers, but I couldn't look away from SCP-042's pleading gaze. It was a moment of understanding, of shared despair, and then everything went black. When I awoke, I found myself in a sterile room, surrounded by the sterile scent of antiseptics. Distant voices murmured, and I blinked, trying to piece together what had happened. Panic gripped me as I remembered SCP-042. "Where is it?" I croaked, struggling to rise. One of the researchers turned, eyes filled with pity. You were exposed to SCP-042's influence, and it's not what you think. What do you mean? The creature is sapient. It has the ability to manipulate emotions, to evoke feelings of connection, but it's also a parasite. You're not just a victim. You've become a vessel. My heart sank. A vessel? Anyone who makes contact is at risk. You're now a conduit for its despair. It's in you now, and it won't let go. Dread washed over me. What happens now? The researcher's gaze hardened. We'll have to contain you. You can't leave. And in that moment, I realized the truth. I had sought to save SCP-042, but in doing so, I had sealed my own fate, forever intertwined with a creature born of suffering, a prisoner of my own compassion.